Okay, so we're on the record. Great. Are we on the record?
We're ready.
All right, great. At this time, we will call our Township Public Meeting, May 10th, 2022, to order. I'll ask everyone to please stand and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, Jamie, could you please read the sunshine statement and call the roll?
Be advised that proper notice has been given by the Township Council in accordance with the Sunshine Law in the following manner. Notice advertised in the Burlington County Times and Camden Carrier Post on March 1st, 2022, and posted on the bulletin board on the same date. Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Jenny?
Here.
Ms. Pareo?
Here.
Mr. Lyon?
Here.
Mr. Burrell?
Here. And just for the record, the mayor is joining us on a conference line. Gary, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Thank you. And first up, before we get to the action portion of our meeting, I'll ask for council members to come down, and we'll now award a presentation of a proclamation for a local veteran here in town. So Lynn will take lead for us.
As we are beginning to do, we are meeting on a monthly basis with one of our veterans in our community to show them the respect and the appreciation we have for their service, and in most every case, for the service after the military service. There are people who continue to serve the community and to serve others, and we'd like to show our appreciation for that. Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer is our veteran for this evening, very active member in both the VFW and the American Legion. Whereas, in June of 1964, Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer enlisted in the United States Army, where he received training at Fort Dix, New Jersey, as a missile systems operator. And whereas after training in 1964, Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer was deployed to Germany, where he served as a missile systems operator with the 43rd Artillery Unit, 7th Army, specializing in Nike Zeus and Nike Ajax platforms. And whereas, after completing his tour, Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer returned home and finished his term of enlistment at Fort Hamilton, New York, May 1967, after 3 years of faithful service. And whereas, during his time with the United States Army, Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer earned numerous awards and accolades to include the Army Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Medal, and a Sharpshooter Rifle Badge. And whereas, Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer continues to serve his community as a life member of VFW Post 3020 for the past 12 years, serving as Junior Vice Commander, Senior Vice Commander, and currently Captain of the Honor Guard, and as Commander of the American Legion Post 146 for 10 years. And whereas, it is with great respect and appreciation that we pay special tribute to Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer, United States Army, as an outstanding veteran who has devoted himself to serve our great country. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that on this day, May 10, 2022, the Township of Delran, the Council and Mayor, and the residents of Delran, on behalf of the entire county, do hereby express our gratitude to Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer for his service to our country and the citizens of the United States of America, and do hereby commend Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer for his acts of bravery and honor while defending our great country and democracy. We wish Specialist 5 Joseph Kramer continued success and safety in all his future endeavors. Yeah. I told you, no more than a half hour. Lose our good conduct medal.
Okay. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. And one of my good friends, Harold, gave me this, and I like to read it. I got it. Is a veteran, not a preacher, who has given us freedom of religion. It is a veteran, not a reporter, who has given us the freedom of press. It is a veteran not a poet, who has given us the freedom of speech. It is a veteran, not a campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to assemble. It is a veteran, not a lawyer, who has given us the right for a fair trial. It is a veteran, not a politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is a veteran who salutes the flag.
Thank you, Joe. Well said.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now up, we'll get to our action portion of the agenda. First up is our minutes for approval. I'll need a motion approving the minutes for the December 7th, 2021 public meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion.
Second?
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Next up, our big portion of this evening's agenda is our 2022 municipal budget. So there's various items that go with that. Eventually, we'll get to the public hearing, so let's do some things first. So first up is Resolution 2022-76, governing, it's a resolution authorizing the governing body certification of compliance with the State Equal Employment Opportunity Commission enforcement guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records in the employment decision under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved. Tom Lyon.
Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next up is Resolution 2022-77. This is providing for the self-examination of the 2022 municipal budget.
Motion?
I'll second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. The resolution carries. Next up is Resolution 2022-78. This is allowing the budget to be read by title.
So moved.
Second. Tom Lyon.
Jamie?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. The resolution carries. So now at this time, we'll have our public hearing and some quick notes from the administration and the mayor about the budget. So I know Gary, the mayor, had a few comments. Mayor, do you want to do that before Joe gives a little summary for us?
Very good. Thank you, Council President. This is a very happy to present this 2022 budget. Just wanted to say a special thanks to the department heads for their hard work, and of course the staff, especially Joe Bellina, who came in the middle of the process and kind of rescued me from what was happening there. And of course, town council, who always goes through line by line and makes sure that every T is crossed and every I dotted. So together, we were able to include all the services, the special events, and the improvements that we had hoped for. And for the third year in a row, we have no municipal tax increase. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Joe Bellina, our administrator. Joe, do you have anything you want to enlighten the public with?
No, I think I just want to call out a couple, I just want to call out a couple items. As the mayor had indicated, there is no tax increase. The sewer rate remains the same. We're compliant fully with the appropriations and the levy caps, so that's all good. But despite that, we were confronted with some challenges last year, which have an effect this year. Of course, the garbage collection, that's up over $315,000 in 1 year alone. There are myriad reasons why, and we went over those when we went through the workshop part. If any of you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to go over them again. The police vehicles, the mobile digital terminals, there's hefty price increases with that alone. Gas, our line item for gasoline went up 15%. So, and of course, the normal fixed costs like insurance and pension and what have you, that too escalated. So, despite all that, I think we were pretty good. with not having a tax increase, and even with the fund balance going forward, that looks still pretty healthy. But unless there's any other questions, Mr. President, I'm good here.
Thank you, Joe. And as the mayor mentioned, I want to thank you, Joe, and our auditor who's here with us, who helped prepare the budget as well. Thank you guys and all the department heads for all their hard work. There's months and months that go into this before even we see a draft. A lot of time that most people don't recognize. So we just want to make sure that is recognized. And before we go to open the public comment, I want to see if there's any comments from members of council, but I just want to state that there is a PowerPoint presentation in the back that will be online. But I think the most important thing to note about this budget, which is quite surprising for most folks, is that we control 20% of your municipal, of your taxes that you pay us every year. That's 20%. Covers everything we do. And that 20% covers, I mean, the list is fairly long. I just sat here and jotted it down. That's the police department, the courts, the clerk's office, our administrative office, public works, the tax department, sewer department, construction and code enforcement, and the list goes on and on. And the fact that 20% of your tax bill, what you write in that check, goes to us to do that, I think that's something to celebrate in a way, and that we've kept that burden as minimal as possible. So is there any comments from members of council before we open to public? Okay, great.
Just one, Mr. President, I just want to thank Karima and staff, and of course, Bob has been a guiding hand too to me throughout this process. Thank you.
Yes. So with that, I'll ask for we have to have a public hearing on the 2022 municipal budget. So I'll ask for a motion to open the floor on the budget only.
So moved, Tom Lyon. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Our floor is now open to public comment on the 2022 municipal budget only. If there's any comments, please raise your hand. Come on up. I'm just going to read the rules. I'm not going to start the clock, but this will be separate and apart from the public comment that we have at the end of the meeting. But the same rules apply. You raise your hand and wanted to speak, so you're up here. Please direct your questions to council. You'll be allotted 5 minutes of time. So as long as you see the green light on that, you're good to go.
How many examiners does it take to turn on a microphone? Barb Littleton here. I live here in Delran, just don't want to say my address. Just had a real quick question. I believe the Historical Society had a briefing during the last council meeting. And there's appropriations for what they're looking to do in the budget, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Does that include any cost increase for cleaning or insurance? I mean, I know it's small, but just was wondering if we took that into account too.
Insurance of what? Their items?
Their items, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's been calculated. I'm sure it's probably negligible, and they have their own insurance. So, I mean.
Oh, they have their own insurance.
I mean, they're a nonprofit, so.
Okay.
They completely nonprofit. If they don't have insurance, they should get insurance.
I would agree.
That's-
But I just wanted to bring that up just to make sure
Yeah.
that we're thinking about those things. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions on the public budget? Just come up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Joan Kerstetter, 10 River Drive. Looking at the paperwork, it says the stream bank stabilization program has passed for 200,000? Terrific.
In fact, the second reading on the ordinance to appropriate the money will come right on the heels of this public hearing.
Awesome. You got my vote. The only other question about that is, are the residents in that area going to have any kind of input with the Army Corps of Engineers? Because we have a few things to say and a few things to tell them, and we've been down there for a lot of years.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things. First, I think some members of council have spoken about potentially having, and I've talked to Joe about it, having a sort of a public hearing, an informal thing with folks down at the river that we can sit with. I don't know if their engineers are going to come out. I doubt it, but our engineers and us, and we can all talk about the issues at hand. But second, their goal with this is to create forget the exact engineering name, it's a concept plan feasibility study where they take a look at 6 or 7 different options to remedy it, right? And, one of the options, they go through a bunch of things, do modeling and all. And then from there, they'll do various studies to see what's best and then make a determination about the cost moving forward.
Right, I understand that.
So I think it's something we can definitely talk,
Yeah.
offline about scheduling that meeting, but it's something, me and Virginia have had that
Okay,
conversation
yeah.
multiple times.
If they're just walking along down there, we're more than happy to come out and,
Yeah,
I think
Just,
once we have
you
a
know.
couple of preliminary meetings
Yeah.
with the Army Corps, that might be an appropriate time.
Okay.
Into deeper in the spring, perhaps even during the summer months.
okay, I appreciate it.
No
This
problem.
is the furthest we've ever come, so
I know
thank you
it's
very
been a long
much.
road, so I
been a
appreciate
long
your
road.
guys' patience and you guys
We
coming
appreciate
out
it.
for before I was here, so.
Before you were
you
here,
know,
yeah.
Before I
We
was
won't
born,
say
I'm
how old
sure.
we were, but for you were here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on the budget? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the floor to public comment on the budget.
Motion to close, Tom Lyon.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Our floor is now closed. I'll now entertain Resolution 2022-79. This is adopting the 2022 municipal budget.
Motion.
Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. Resolution carries. Congratulations, our budget is adopted. Next up, we have our auditor is going to sneak out, so thank you, Bob, for everything. Appreciate it. You're welcome. Next up is our ordinances on second reading. For the folks watching along, bear with me as I have to say a lot of legalese. So first up is Ordinance 2022-04. This is a bond ordinance authorizing the undertaking of the development and construction of the Township Bikeway, appropriating the sum of $1.4 million thereof, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes for the Township of Delran, County of Burlington, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $190,000, making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. Since this is a second reading and needs a public hearing, I'll ask for a motion to go into public.
Motion to go in public, Tom Lyon.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We are in public comment on ordinance 2022-04. Is there any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the floor.
Motion to close, Tom Lyon.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. The floor is now closed. I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-04.
So moved.
Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. The good news about that ordinance is that cost us no money at all and funded all from grants. So that's always good. Next up is ordinance 2022-05. This is a bond ordinance authorizing the undertaking of various capital improvements and the acquisition of capital equipment in and or for the Township of Delran, appropriating the sum of $1.2 million thereof, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes for the Township of Delran, County of Burlington, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $1.9 million, making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection. 1.19, yes, million, yes, that is correct. 1.19 million, and authorizes certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. This is second reading, so it requires a public hearing. I'll ask for a motion in a second, please.
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We're in public comment for ordinance 2022-05. Is there any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the floor.
Motion to close, Tom Lyon.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-05.
Motion.
Second would be great.
I'll second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. Motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. Next up is ordinance 2022-06. This is another bond ordinance authorizing the undertaking of various roadway improvements in and for the Township of Delran, appropriating the sum of $1.4 million thereof, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bonds anticipation notes to the Township of Delran, County of Burlington, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $945,250, making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing related actions in connection with the foregoing. I need a public hearing, so I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Our floor is now open for public comment on ordinance 2022-06. Are there any comments? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the floor.
So moved, Tom Lyon.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Our floor is now closed. I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-06.
Make a motion.
Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted. And one last time through, this is ordinance 2022-07. This is a bond ordinance authorizing the undertaking of various roadway improvements as part of the Streets to Transit program in and for the Township of Delran, authorizing the sum of $665,000 thereof, and authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes to the Township of Delran, County of Burlington, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $85,500, and making certain determinations and covenants, and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. This also requires a public hearing, so I'll ask for a motion.
Motion, Tom Lyon.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. The floor is now open for public comment on ordinance 2022-07. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the floor.
Motion to close, Tom Lyon.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Our floor is now closed. I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-07.
So moved, Tom Lyon.
I'll second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it, and motion carries. The ordinance is adopted. Finally, we have our ordinances on first reading that do not require a public hearing. This is ordinance 2022-08, an ordinance amending Chapter 50 fees of the Township Code of Delran, Burlington County, New Jersey, to increase fees for fire safety services and public works. Motion and a second.
Motion.
I'll second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is introduced. Next up is ordinance 2022-09. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 90, Trees of the Township of Delran, Code of the Township Code of the Township of Delran, Burlington County, New Jersey, to further establish the Delran Township Memorial Tree Program.
Motion.
Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is introduced. Next up is ordinance 2022-10. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 12 of the Township Code of the Township of Delran, Burlington County, New Jersey, to remove yield signs and add stop signs at specific township intersections.
So moved.
Second, Tom Lyon.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is introduced. Next up, we have our consent agenda, which includes various resolutions and motions. Does any members of council have any objections to the items within the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve all the items within the consent agenda.
So moved, Tom Lyon.
Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. Consent agenda carries with the resolutions and motions therein. Finally, we're at our reports for this evening, and first up is members from our emergency services who are not here, but I did get a call from Brian Beata from the EMS, and he just wanted to say he was struggling to get here with some scheduling conflicts, but he would try to make it. So it looks like he didn't make it, but he would have been here if his schedule permitted, so hopefully we'll see him next meeting. Next up, we have our interim administrator, Joseph Bolina.
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
Great, thank you. And next up, we have our clerk, Jamie Eggers. Jamie,
Nothing tonight, thank you.
thank you. Next up, we have Mayor Catronbone, who's on a conference line. Mayor, anything for public?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Interesting, I'm on a conference line. I'm actually preparing for the first day of the Mayor's Conference in Atlantic City. Looking forward to getting some information that hopefully will continue to help Delran. But looking forward to next week, there's a lot of things going on in town. May 16th is the STEM Fair, and that's Monday. I'll certainly be there, and if you haven't put it on your schedule, EMS testing begins. This is for flu, COVID, or RSV. It's 9 to 1, Tuesday and Thursday. You'll be able to check on the township website for more information before next week begins. And finally, May 30th is the Memorial Day Parade in Riverside. They are always so kind to invite us to participate, and we will be there. It's fun for the kids. I encourage you to bring your family out and remember our veterans on that special day. So that's my report. I thank you very much for accommodating me from the conference.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Next up, we have our solicitor, Mark. Anything for us?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Finally, we have reports from members of council. We'll start on my far right with Councilman Marlo Smith. Anything?
Yeah, just one real quick item. As the mayor mentioned, May 30th is Memorial Day, and the kids are out of school, and they're also out of school that Tuesday. So Monday the 30th and Tuesday the 31st. So just be careful as you're going around town, with the little ones out and about playing, and now the weather's getting warmer. So just wanted to remind everyone of that. End of report.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have a report from Councilman Lynn Jenny. Councilman,
Tonight,
you just fire up your microphone, please.
I just wanted to mention that during the budget process and working on the different items from all the departments, I want to compliment all those people who are involved in that. But the key here is it's smart finance management. We used some surplus money, but there was also greater revenues from our construction department. There were increased revenues from the federal government, which helped us out. But a third year in a row to have a zero tax increase is, I think, pretty significant for a municipality. And I just want to thank all those involved in putting that together. Also, the Green Team, want to congratulate them on getting their memorial tree. And I've been involved in observing and supporting some of their activities. And I think they're one of the most active organizations in our community. Residents, if you want to get involved working on our environment, our clean environment, a tree-laden community, get involved with the Green Team. You can get them on the website they have, and through the township, there's a link, I believe, to the Green Team as well. So congratulations to the Green Team. That's all I have tonight, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that report. Next up, we have Councilwoman Virginia Pareto. Councilwoman?
Yes, the utility companies are paving roads they previously disturbed in Ward 1. I had a chance to see the work done on Ithaca and Linfield, and the roads look great. And on a personal note, I want to say happy birthday to my daughter, Trinity. She is 20 years old today, and God, I'm old. Lastly, go Sixers. That's my report.
Next up is our Vice President of Council, Tom Lyon. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Council President. I'd also like to say hats off to all the department heads and all the people that work so hard and diligently on the budget, and also everybody up here on council going through that line by line with that tiny little print. Being over 60 years old can be exhausting, but it's something that we do and we get through it. And everybody did a great job, and it's really nice that we don't have another tax increase while maintaining services. So hats off to everybody. Thank you, Joe, for all you did coming late to the game. And with that, thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Mr. Vice President. For my report, I just want to echo the comments of my council members. Also say, Virginia, happy birthday to your daughter. Virginia, this is the first time she has been away, who's not with your daughter, right, on the birthday. So you came here to join us, and that's something awesome. So, but happy birthday to your daughter, and thanks for joining us tonight. Also, as members of council mentioned, I think this budget is something we should be proud of. Zero tax increase is something to be proud of for sure. And as Councilman Jennings put, this isn't just a haphazard 1 year that we can do this. This is over many years of financial planning from the department heads to everyone in this township. So I want to thank everybody for all their hard work. Joe, Karima, all the department heads, council, Jamie. I mean, it's a lift. It consumes everybody for many months. Also, all the organizations who are part of the budget and got involved. So I just thank all of you guys for your patience. I know it can be a very daunting process, but I'm very happy in the end result. And thank you, Mayor, for all your hard work with it as well. So with that, I will conclude our reports for council and go to public comment. So I'll entertain a motion to open the floor to public comment.
I make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Our floor is now open to public comment. Before we begin, just please raise your hand and ask to be recognized. At that time, you can step up to the podium and use the wireless mic. Individual speaker is allotted 5 minutes of time. A reminder that all statements are part of the public record, both written, audio, and video recorded, and therefore cannot be redacted or retracted after the fact. So if anyone has any public comment, please raise your hand. Ms. Littleton.
Barbara Littleton, as stated before, I'd rather not say my address, but I do have a place here in Delran. Have a couple of questions to go out, more on the mayor's side, but it's pretty much to everyone up there. So there was a statement before by the mayor that they promised, the mayor promised to get us a statement of concerns that we had and tell us what was going on with that. Where is that, and when can we expect to see that?
That's ultimately a question for the mayor. Gary, can you hear that? It's tough to have the questions back and forth with Gary here as he's on the conference line.
Yeah, I can, Tyler. Thank
Okay.
you very much. Sure. Barb, there were so many questions that were put out. I would be happy to answer those that were legitimate questions. So I would ask that maybe you and I get together, or if you could send me a list of the actual real questions that you have. I'll be happy to do that. It was over 5 or 6 months that there were a number of allegations put out that had absolutely no foundation in truth. So those questions that you have as a resident legitimately, I'll be happy to sit down and answer those for you.
So Mayor, if I hear you correctly, you promised something before without one-on-one conversations. You were going to get with the solicitor and get that taken care of. And now you want us to come to you again with the concerns that we had that were legitimate. So I'm just curious, why the change in direction?
No change. There were so many things that were talked about. I'll be happy to answer questions. There could be 100 questions in there. Probably most of those are moot.
So how before were you going to give us the statement and now you can't or won't?
Barbara, there's been a lot of time that's passed. We could review all of the 6 months worth of meetings to try to parse out every question. I'll be happy to do that. I'm saying that I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
All right, that didn't really get us where we wanted to be because you promised something and you did not deliver. Next up is sort of kind of on the same page, Carly event that's supposed to be put on the township page. I haven't seen that. Are we any closer to getting that on the township page?
Mayor?
Yeah, as soon as we can. We'll get it out as quickly as we can.
Okay. And then the last thing for the mayor, you stated a while ago that you contacted the state comptroller to do an investigation. I'm wondering if you've called them and asked them for an update on that, and if you plan to.
I have not. I could, I guess. I will do that and see what they have to say.
All right, thank you. A couple of things here. Wendy, in February, thank you. In February, on Wendy's list of things that she did, one of the things said that she assisted the mayor in doing an evaluation and a timeline into Dunphy. And I thought that situation was done and over with, and we weren't doing anything more with Dunphy, but now I'm seeing that in that report. Can anyone speak to that?
My guess is, I haven't memorized every log on that report, but that was likely during the time when there was questions raised about that. I'd have to look at it again, but I can do that if you would like.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because it's just weird that it's being brought up again. On that as well, someone reached out to me from the Grand the board on the, from the grant reached out to me. They've reached out to Wendy twice and asked her about tree removal in January and in April about maybe cleaning up behind Ott's. She said she would look into it and get back with them. She never did. So if you guys can look into that and figure out what's going on there, that would be great.
Sure.
And then the last thing I have, actually, I think I got them all. I got them all.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, any? You're good.
I don't need this thing, I'm well enough.
You're fine right there. Yeah.
I have no questions. I have a couple comments I want to make to the town council. Again, I want to thank your continued support for the veterans, what you're doing every month. It is something that is really overdue, and I'm glad you did it, and you continue to do it. Mr. Kramer is an excellent choice. Couldn't have done, the three choices all have been great candidates. I mean, fantastic. The only other thing is, I've been in touch with our chaplain at Mission of Honor. We are going to start burying cremains again. I left a message with him today. He does work. So as soon as I get some information from him, I can get information to any of y'all that, if you want to go to one. Mr. Jennings has attended one, and he's made it in his report that it was really remarkable. I ask anybody that really has any interest, you want to see what we're doing about these unclaimed cremains of veterans, that you try to, it's usually on a Thursday at 1 o'clock is when the cemetery allows us to take in our cremains. It is something that, and Mr. Jennings will attest to this, it is something that you'll remember forever. I mean, it is a great tribute to these service members that have given so much to this country, and now they are finally getting a resting place. I will tell you, I don't know if I did tell you, the longest two that we've ever found, one was 66 years in a funeral home, never claimed. The oldest one we ever found was 70 years, never claimed. Both of those individuals have had their military honors, and they have been buried at General Doyle Cemetery. And again, I thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the public floor.
Motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Our public comment is closed. Now, at this time, I'll ask for a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-86. This is authorizing executive session to discuss confidential personnel matter and contract negotiations regarding the township administrator position.
So moved.
Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Pareo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. We will now go into executive session. If there's any action that will be taken, it will be taken in the public comments. So we'll take a quick 5-minute recess to let everybody move out, and then we'll have our meeting right here, okay? Great. Thank you, everybody. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in our public portion of the meeting. There is no action to be taken, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.